So, today we're going to dive into a story about what happens when a can't miss prodigy, well, kind of misses. It's the incredible story of Indian tennis star Yuki Bhambri and how he basically snatched victory from a career that looked like it was all but over.
But we're not going to start at the beginning. No, we're starting right at the peak of his comeback. Picture this. It's 2025, and Yuki Bhambri is making some of the biggest headlines of his entire career.
A US Open semifinalist. I mean, that's not just a good result. That's the kind of career-defining moment that players literally dream about. It puts him right up there with the absolute elite in men's doubles. So that's the real question, isn't it? How does a guy who was hailed as the next big thing, a guy whose career was nearly destroyed by injuries, completely reinvent himself to reach an even higher peak? Well, to figure that out, we have to go all the way back. To really understand the second act, you gotta understand the first. And back in the beginning, Yuki Bhambri, he wasn't just good, he was an absolute phenomenon.
The year 2009 was just a whirlwind. He didn't just compete on the junior tour, he completely conquered it. He won the super prestigious Orange Bowl, then a Grand Slam at the Australian Open, and he capped it all off by becoming the undisputed #1 junior player on the entire planet.
And that Australian Open win, that was historic. He was the first Indian player ever to win that junior title. He instantly became a national hero, and with that came this massive weight of expectation. #1, that's not just a ranking, it's a statement. It means total dominance. At that point in time, there was no junior player on earth who was better. For Yuki, the path to singles stardom looked like it was wide open. But as any pro athlete will tell you, that jump from the juniors to the professional tour, man, it is one of the toughest challenges in all of sports. The proving grounds were up next.
And he did well. He cracked the top 100 in singles, getting all the way to a career high of 83. Now, let's be clear, that is an incredible accomplishment that most players can only dream of. But for a former junior #1, the pressure was on to do even more. His singles career became this story of just a relentless grind. He won a bunch of titles on the ATP Challenger Tour. That's the level right below the main tour. And he was always fighting his way into the main draws of Grand Slams. But that huge breakthrough, going deep in a major, it just always seemed to be right out of reach. And right when he was pushing so hard to break through that barrier, a new opponent showed up, one he couldn't beat on the court: injury. And the culprit was his knees. These persistent, nagging injuries, they made the absolutely grueling demands of singles tennis, all that constant stopping, starting, sliding, just a painful, unsustainable reality. His momentum was just cut short again and again. So, faced with his career basically hanging in the balance, Yuki made a really brave, really strategic choice. He decided to change the game completely. And right there, that was the moment everything changed. See, this wasn't about quitting, not at all. It was a smart, calculated move to save his body and actually prolong his career. He was taking all that immense talent and just channeling it into a different discipline. It was a pivot toward longevity. And the results of that pivot? Wow, they are stark. The singles dream, held back by injuries, topped out at rank 83. But the doubles reality? A much higher peak of 26 in the world, and something he never got in singles, a Grand Slam semifinal. I mean, the numbers really tell the whole story, don't they? This pivot wasn't just some small change. It was a complete rebirth. This is the second act that totally redefined his career. And you know what? The success came almost immediately. The results were immediate and just spectacular. He wasn't just competing in doubles, he was winning titles. In 2024 alone, he grabbed major ATP trophies like the Swiss Open and the BMW Open, really cementing his place as a true doubles specialist. This chart is just a perfect map of his resilience. You can see it all right here. That incredible peak as the world's best junior, then the professional plateau in singles, and then that powerful surge to a new, even higher peak in doubles. It's an amazing journey. So here we are, full circle. The former singles prodigy has totally transformed himself into one of his country's most successful doubles players, finding a whole new way to compete and to win at the very highest level. And all of this leaves you with a really fascinating thought. Maybe Yuki Bhambri's story shows us that the ultimate victory isn't always about achieving that original dream, but about having the wisdom and the courage to adapt, to change, and just to find a new way to stay in the game you love.